الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الدين عند الله الإسلام. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the topic this evening is about the history of Muslims, the history of Islam in British Islands. It would be amazing to know that Christianity is deep rooted in this country, as deep as Islam in Arabian Peninsula, Al-Jazira al-Arabiya. The Prophet ﷺ was born in 570, and at the age of 40, he started his mission, which means in 610. 13 years before him, in 597, Saint Augustine came to these islands to preach Christianity on behalf of Pope Gregory in Rome. And that man, St. Augustine, within 60 years he was able to turn most of British Isles into Christian. So you can say that Christianity is very deep rooted in this country. Before Christianity, what was the religion here? They are all pagans, worshipping stars, worshipping different idols. As you know that according to Greek mythology and Roman mythology, they used to worship different stars. And because there are so many stars, so this is why they have picked upon 7 stars, and after them they have named the days of the weeks. These 7 stars like Sun, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, they are the 7 bright stars. And as you can say that Sunday is named after Sun, Monday is named after Moon, Saturday is named after Saturn, and the other 4 names of the weeks like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they are named in England after English idols or English gods. So Tuesday is after tree god, Wednesday after wooden god, Thursday after Thor god, and Friday after Frigg god. So they are the local gods, and after them the names of the weeks are given. So it shows that in English language the impression of shirk or polytheism is found. Even in the language there is a shirk. It is not in Arabic. In Arabic what are the names? Yawmul al-Ahad, Yawmul Isnain. Number 2, 1, 2. Yawmul Thulatha, Yawmul Arbi'a, Yawmul Khamis, Yawmul Jum'ah, Yawmul Ijtima' Nas, Yawmul Sabt. So there is no impression of shirk at all. In other languages like Hindi, again, there is this impression of shirk. So anyhow, so they were worshipping pagans here, and with the efforts of Saint Augustine, they became Christians. The oldest mention of anything Islamic is in the times of King Ofa of Mercia, who ruled from 757 to 796, which is the 8th century. As you know that the coins in the times of King Ofa were found And these coins got at one side La ilaha illallah written in Arabic, La ilaha illallah. And the other side was written King Ofa Rex, the king of Mercia. So some research scholars say that was he a Muslim? Why he got these coins with the inscription of La ilaha illallah? Was he a Muslim or not? Some say because these coins were made in Spain, in Andalus at that time. He used to bring them from there because they got no mint here, so it was minted there. So this is how they brought it with La ilaha illallah on it from Al-Andalus. Anyhow, we also know that in 1100, a man Idrisi from Al-Maghrib, from Morocco, he came on behalf of the king of Sicily, which is known in Arabic as Shaykh, to visit England. That is another mention of a Muslim coming to this country in the beginning of the 12th century. And the most famous king of England was John Locke Land, who ruled from 1199 to 1216. John Locke Land, he is the one who introduced Magna Carta. And what is Magna Carta? They say the first universal declaration of humanity. But this person is known for another thing. In his times, the clergy in this country was very powerful, and they do not allow the king to do many things. They were always an obstacle to his activities. So he wanted to get rid of them. He wanted some power, some force to combat them. So he sent a delegation for military assistance. To whom? To An-Nasir Lidinillah, the king of Morocco. So that deputation went to An-Nasir Lidinillah asking for help. But when the king or Khalifa knew that England is a far country, very far from Morocco, and they have to cross the sea to reach there, he declined to send any help. So this is why this delegation came without any success. And when it came back with failure, John Locke Land was, actually he wept because he got no help from him. And in an article in Times, it is said by the writer of that article that there was a moment in the 12th century when England was about to turn into Islam, lock, stock and barrel. But God saved it. For them, God saved it, because if John Locke Land has received this assistance from the King of Morocco, then this country might have turned into Islam in this 12th century. We got the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer in 1386. And in the Canterbury Tale, he speaks about a physic doctor who benefited from the knowledge of Ibn Sina and Razi and Ibn Rushd. And as you know that the book of Ibn Sina, which is known as Avicenna in English, the law of medicine, Qanun al-Tib, that was the main materia medica to be taught in the universities till the 18th century. There is another article by Professor John Deasy, and this article is the Islamic origin of common law of England, in which he has said that there are many things which are taken from Islam. For example, the lawyers who read law in London, they got their inns. So there is Lincoln Inn, there is other inns. So he said that this inns codes are developed on the model of madrasa. Madrasa in Islamic lands and inns here. He also says that the idea of trust is the same idea of waqf in Islam. So the idea of waqf is taken here and it was named trust. The the transfer of money, which is known in Arabic as hiwala, that turned into agency here in England. And in the same way, in common laws, they use qiyas or analogy a lot. And this qiyas or analogy is taken from the Islamic fiqh. That was, as I said, 14th century, and in 16th century, we have the first record of a Muslim, and that was Captain John from Kent. He was a pirate who became Muslim in Morocco. And there is another mention of John Nelson. He was a seaman, and he became Muslim as well. And you know that in 16th century, when Shakespeare has written his drama, his plays, in Merchant of Venice, there is the mention of Moors of the Muslims. In 17th century, from 1606 to 70, we know that Ottoman ships, they were very strong and very powerful, and they used to attack English ships. They have attacked around 466 ships, and they have taken more than 5,000 English seamen as captives to their lands. Of course, Ottoman Empire was ruling at that time, and all the western coast of Africa, means Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Morocco. So these captives were kept there, and some of them they were taken to Istanbul to Turkey. And from here, a deputation was sent by Charles II. He sent Captain Hamilton to bring back some of the English captives. So he went to Istanbul asking for these Englishmen to be ready to come back, because he saw them, they had married there, and they were living a very prosperous life there. All of them declined to come back. And he has to come and report to Charles that these Englishmen, they don't want to come back. They are happy with their women. Another reason which was given, that why they are fascinated by Turkey, they say this is because of the Turkish coffee. So they say the Turkish coffee was so dominant that it stops them to come back to England. In 1649, that is the middle of the 17th century, the first English translation of Quran was made, and also in the very same century, Arabic chairs are introduced in Cambridge and Oxford. And you know that the famous Bodleian library in Oxford, that got many Arabic manuscripts. In 1707, we got the translation of Alf Layla wa Layla, Thousand's Night and a Night. That was translated from Arabic to Latin, from Latin to English. And in the following year, in 1708, the book of Ibn Tufayl, which is known as Hayy ibn Yaqzan, that was translated into English as well. Now this story of Hayy ibn Yaqzan, it speaks about a shipwreck, and then one man was left alone on an island. That person was Hayy ibn Yaqzan. Now this story of one man living in an island was taken by Daniel Defoe, and he wrote Robinson Crusoe. So the famous novel Robinson Crusoe is just a prototype of Hayy ibn Yaqzan. In 1784, we got Deen Muhammad coming with Captain Baker. He was from Bengal, and as you know that English, they formed East India Company in 1700, and then they started introducing some trade and commerce in India from the time of Jahangir, the Mughal emperor. In 1757, they had taken Bengal after a fighting with Siraj ud-Dawla. Bengal was taken. So from 1757, English rule was introduced, and Calcutta was the main town, which was the seat of the power. So this person, Deen Muhammad, he came to this country in 1801. He settled down in Brighton, and in Brighton, because he knew some medicine, so he introduced some places for massage and shampooing. So his center was known as the Center for Medicine and Shampooing. And this word shampoo, is it English word? Shampoo? Is it English?
Yes. Yeah.
It is coming from this Indian champi. Indian champi. So that is the Indian champi became shampoo. So in English language there are so many words from other languages. Deen Muhammad was very famous. Even he was treating the king as well with his medicine and herbs. But his 5 children, none of them remained Muslim. That is a pity. In 1833, slavery was abolished. And before that time, people were brought to this country as slaves from Africa, from West Indies. But after the abolishment of slavery, now the seamen used to bring servants to serve in the sea, to serve in the ships, and later many of them were settled down in coastal cities of England. Now these seamen, they were known as Laskars. Laskars. I think this is a word coming from Lashkar, which is an Urdu word. And they started after 1837, because 1837 is the year when Aden was captured by the English. And before that, in 1869, Suez Canal was inaugurated. So because of Suez Canal, a shorter route was found to come from Aden, from India, through Suez Canal to Mediterranean, and from Mediterranean to France by road until you come to English Channel and then to England. So more people started coming from Aden. This is why people from Yemen came a lot after 1869. We have another interesting person in the history who is Munshi Abdul Karim, who came as a Munshi means a secretary who writes just the accounts. So it is known in Urdu language as Munshi. He came to England and he became Munshi for Queen Victoria. As you know that Queen Victoria, she ruled for a very long time, for about 50 years. She died in 1901. So this person came in 1888. Till her death, he was very, very close to Queen Victoria. So close that people started rumors about him and Victoria. And that is not true that he got any relation or any affairs with the Queen. But anyhow, Queen got so much trust in him that he was invited to all royal weddings and royal festivals, and this became a matter of jealousy with the royal court. So as soon as she died, he was sent back to Agra, where he died. 1889 is a very important year, 1889. Remember that date, 1889, because the first 2 mosques inaugurated in that year. The one in Liverpool and the one in Woking. I have discovered during my studies and research that the first mosque is actually in 1860, which was established in Cardiff. That was the first mosque. So it means these 2 mosques are second and third, and they are inaugurated within 3 months' time. So the Woking Mosque was inaugurated on 25th December 1889. As far as Woking Mosque is concerned, Woking Mosque, who established it? A Muslim? Woking Mosque, a Muslim. The name of the mosque is Shah Jahan Mosque. Shah Jahan Mosque. It was established by Dr. Leitner, who was an Orientalist from Hungary. This person got a good knowledge of so many languages, including Arabic and English and French and Italian and so on and so forth. And because of his knowledge, he went to India and he became a professor in Lahore. He is the one who established the Oriental College of Lahore. He is the one who established the library, the Punjab Library in Lahore. He is the one to teach in Punjab University as well. He lived there for 20 years. When he came back, he came to England, he got this estate in Woking. So, he wanted to create here a complex of different religions, with a mosque, with a temple, and maybe with the synagogue as well. So that was his idea. He did not want to preach Islam, because he was not a Muslim. I did not find any source which says that he became Muslim. Anyhow, that was his estate in Woking. In that year, the ruler of Bhopal is a princely state. As you know that during the British Raj, there were about 600 princely states in India. So Bhopal is one of them. And it was ruled by woman after woman. Among them is Shah Jahan Begum. So Shah Jahan Begum came to this country, to England, with her son who was very ill, for treatment. Dr. Leitner came to her and asked for a donation to build a mosque. And Shah Jahan Begum gave her the donation of £1,000. And with that £1,000, this mosque, which is a small mosque in Woking, was built. And it is a very historical mosque. But here there is something very interesting to know. She came with her ill son. As soon as she gave that sadaqah of £1,000, her son started getting cured. And he became healthy, and without much treatment, only because of the sadaqah. And it shows that what the Prophet ﷺ said, that dawa mardakum bis sadaqah. Treat your ill people with sadaqah. That is very true, very true. So this mosque was built, and Dr. Leitner did not live long to complete his complex of other religions as well. No, he died. He died, and after that, in that state there was only that mosque and a library. And we know that later, in 1913, a man came from Lahore. He is from the Lahori branch of Qadianism, Khwaja Kamaluddin. He was a Lahori. As you know that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani of Qadian in India, he said, he claimed prophethood. He claimed prophethood. And after his death in 1908, the first caliph who survived him was Mirza Bashiruddin, was Hakim Nuruddin. And after the death of Hakim Nuruddin, then this congregation was split into two factions. One who believed that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is a prophet and a messenger. This is known as Qadiani Jamaat. And the followers of Muhammad Ali, who translated Quran as well, they believed that he was a reformer, not a prophet. So this is why they are known as Lahori, because Muhammad Ali was from Lahore. So Khwaja Kamaluddin was a Lahori, but still he believed that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was a reformer. So he started his mission from Woking Mosque. So Woking Mosque became very active during that period till the 1930s, till his death. And there used to be a magazine or a journal with the title of Islamic Review. And all those people, prominent Muslims who visited England at that time, they used to come to Woking and pray there. They pray Jummah, they pray Eid prayer. We got photographs of people praying Eid. Anyhow, it was an active mosque. The other mosque is that of Liverpool. Who established it? William, a barrister, a journalist, a writer, a very skilled person. This person, William, went to Morocco, and there he was impressed by Islam. The first thing which impressed him, he was on the ship which was bringing pilgrims from Mecca. And he saw these pilgrims at the time of prayer. They made their ablution wudu, and then they started standing in rows and they started their prayer. He was very impressed by their discipline. That was the first impression of Islam, by seeing the Muslim pray. And this gives us some clue that when you pray in an open field, in a park, for example, you are there, don't be shy to pray. Pray in Jamaat. Because there might be people who would see this prayer first time in their life, and this is how they are introduced to Islam. I remember also the saying of a colonel in British Army in Palestine. He saw the Muslims praying like this, his own soldiers. At the time of the prayer, they used to dismount their horses and stand in rows and start praying. And he has said that if the angel has descended upon Musa alayhi salam once, I can see angels descending upon the Muslims in each prayer, at each time, because he saw that peace and tranquility upon them. So he was much impressed by this. So William came back to Liverpool. That was his hometown. He became Muslim, and then he started the first mosque in a house, in a terrace house on Derby Road. And if you read about him more, you will find many interesting things about him. He says that he used to say azan at the front of the mosque, and the people would stand and they would mock him, and some of them they would throw pebbles and stones upon him. He used to invite them for a lecture to tell them about Islam. So he says that the first convert he got from that gathering, he told him later that we actually came with pebbles or stones in our pockets. And our intention was to throw these stones upon you after the lecture. But when they listened to the lecture and about Islam and the beauty of Islam, after the lecture everyone brought out his stone and put it in front of him. Nobody threw any stone upon him. But he was disappointed that not many people are entering into Islam by giving lectures. So then he discovered that there are societies in England, societies of those people who abstain from drinking wine. So these societies, they propagate only about the evils of drinking. So he joined that society, and by speaking against the liquor or the wine, in the end he would say that this is what Islam says. And this is how he started attracting converts to Islam. The very few converts which came to him, that was through this society. Here I remember my own incident, which may amuse you, so I may tell it to you. When I came to this country in 1976, in London, so when I was just a new person, we got no mosque, no center. I was just working with a a small center in Liverpool Road that belonged to UK Islamic Mission at that time. So they used to receive some invitations. So they received an invitation from a society to speak about Islam. So they asked me to go and give the lecture or the talk. So I took the address. It was Piccadilly Tavern, Tavern, Piccadilly Tavern. I did not know about tavern at that time. I very honestly tell you that I did not know what tavern is. So I looked for the address in A to Z, and it is within the heart of London, in Piccadilly area, where you can't reach with your car. So I had to park my car somewhere, and then I started looking in the map, walking, until I entered into a footpath, which was surrounded by a fence from this side and from this side. It is about 1 meter high. In the end, the fence is closed in front of me. So I said, instead of going back all the way, why not I jump upon the fence? That was in 1976, 36 years ago. I was young. So I jumped upon the fence and I landed with my foot wrongly on the road, and I got, I can say that might be a very tiny fracture in my heel. So with some effort I stood up, took my book and my glasses, which fell down, and then I saw a bench at the side of the road. So I sat on that bench, and when looked upon like this, I found Piccadilly Tavern in front of me. That was a pub. As you know, tavern is a pub. So I said, oh, this is the place where I have to give this lecture. So I entered into that pub, and I asked them, where are the group? It was a group of about 10 persons, men and women. They said they are on the first floor. So I went to the first floor, and I told them what happened to me, and I started feeling pain. And then I gave the talk when I saw that it is a pub. So instead of talking about Islam, I talked about the prohibition of liquor in Islam, why liquor is prohibited. In the beginning they asked me, what do you want to drink? I said, any soft drink, because they were drinking wine, of course. So I took the soft drink and I gave this lecture about the prohibition of liquor in Islam. And at the end of the lecture, about an hour later, the pain became very intensive. So I had to go down. So they said, let us help you. Let us help you to take your hand to your arm and go down with you on the stairs. Then I thought that if I come down the stairs with two persons helping me from this side and that side, and this is how I emerge from a pub, what are the people are going to say? This man is so drunk that he needed two persons to escort him. So I said, no, I don't want your assistance, I will go by myself. The only thing I ask from you that help me to drive my car to my home, because I can't drive. So they assisted me. Anyhow, let us come back to William Quilliam, that he established the mosque, and then he established an Islamic college, then he established Medina House for orphans, then he established a printing press, then he established a zoo, because he brought some animals from Morocco. So it was many things he introduced in that place. And the biggest thing is that he started publishing two journals, one weekly, which is Crescent, and one monthly, which is Islamic World. So this Crescent is about 12 pages or 16 pages each week, and it got all the news of his activities in those days from 1889 onwards, 1901, 1902, until his departure from Liverpool in 1908. And I got the photocopies of these journals with me because one of our friends was very keen to get it reproduced by the microfilm. He got it from the British Library. So we have the copies of all these journals, and there is a lot of knowledge. The main thing is the news of Islamic activities in those days. He has written many pamphlets about Islam, fanaticism in Islam. This type of titles were given, and he has sent some copies to Queen Victoria as well. He left Liverpool in 1908 because of a scandal. He was a barrister, and there was a legal scandal. I don't want to go into details. That was about the divorce of a woman. So his name was struck out from the law register. So he has to leave because he felt himself very ashamed. So he left. He left to Turkey because he got a very close link with Ottoman Empire. And he lived there for 2 years, and then he came back, not to Liverpool, but to London and Woking. He even changed his name to Henry de Leon, which was his French physician who died, and he married his widow, and this is how he took his name. And even he trimmed his beard and changed the appearance of his face as well. And after his return, we don't know much about his activities. So this mosque, after 1908, because he departed and the people who were left behind were not so keen. So this is how all these efforts were lost. And the mosque which was built, which was still a house, was taken by the council, and the council turned it into a register for deaths and births and deaths. So there was a record of all the births and deaths. Now, very recently, our brothers, Muslim brothers in Liverpool, they have acquired this property once again from the council, and they want to turn it into a heritage center in the name of William. So these were the two early mosques, and now we speak about the people who were coming to this country, because in those days, during the time of William in Liverpool, how many Muslims were there? John Lane Poole, who is an Orientalist, and he got a book about Islam. The title of the book is Mohammedanism, Studies in Mohammedanism. And there is a chapter, Islam in Liverpool, in which he said that the number of the Muslims, they are not more than 225 persons. In Liverpool, the greatest number, then Manchester, then London, and he says Woking. Of course, Woking, there were just 2 students, as he mentioned. So there were only 225 Muslims, you can say about 110 years ago. After the First World War, because in the First World War, around 1.3 million Indian soldiers participated in the First World War, fighting for British. And there were those who came to Europe as well. So those who were injured, they used to be brought in Brighton. And they have turned the Royal Pavilion in Brighton into a big hospital. There were 7 hospitals in South England where soldiers are treated, all Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, but their dietary requirements were met. The Muslim soldiers were given halal food, and also they were provided facilities for the prayers. After the war was over, there were people who settled down, who remained here, and also the seamen who used to come with the ships, mainly Yemenis and Somalis. Some of them, they used to settle down in coastal towns like Cardiff, Liverpool, Sheffield, Portsmouth, and other coastal towns. So this is how early settlement of the Muslims started in those cities and towns. After the First World War, with the first recession, when some Muslims have settled down in these cities, in 1919, riots started. These are the first riots which started from Glasgow, then they moved to Southfield, then London, Liverpool, Cardiff. But in those riots in between the English and the settlers, Yemenis and Somalis, only 3% died. In Liverpool, one person has to jump into the sea, and people have stoned him until he drowned. And then they created some laws to send the Yemenis or the people from Aden back to their countries. But still, from 1930s onwards, people started coming from Sylhet, especially from Sylhet in Bengal, Gujarat in India, from Aden, Somalia, from Mirpur of Pakistan. At that time it was still India. Gujarat of Pakistan and Attock, which is the northern province of Pakistan now. In 1931, the total Muslim population was 1,800. So you can see that now the number of Muslims were growing from 1930s. And in the First World War, the Second World War, more Muslim soldiers were involved, more people have come, and this is how the hijrah of the Muslims it kept alive. Here now I may mention some of the Muslim personalities, and through these personalities we can understand about the history of Islam. One of them is Amir Ali, from 1849 to 1928. He was a judge from India, and he was also very, very active in establishing Muslim League in India. He was the author of many books, and with Aga Khan in 1910, he established London Fund to establish a mosque. So this fund to establish a mosque in London, later we come to know that it resulted in East London Mosque. Second person is Abdullah Yusuf Ali. As you know that Abdullah Yusuf Ali is also from India, a very literary person, very famous because of his English translation of Quran, and he was also a member of International Dialogue Council. And I got some association with his translation because Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation is very, very famous with footnotes. And in 1980s, there was a committee formed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to review the translation and the commentary. Because Abdullah Yusuf Ali, though he was a very knowledgeable person, but he got some liberal views. For example, if you read the ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah about riba, about usury, he got, in his commentary, he says that usury, what is usury? The definition of usury which is given by him, he says that any profit which is very excessive profit from any transaction, that is usury as well. So he does not confine it to the loans, but he says that if you are getting a very excessive profit from any sale, for example it was £5 and you are selling it for £50, that is riba as well. So this is how he got some views. And also in the story of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he has written an appendix in which he has given the whole story of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, in which he said that eventually Yusuf alayhi salam has married Imratul Aziz, the wife of Al-Aziz. So this is not an authentic story. So this is why a committee to review this translation was formed from on behalf of Darul Iftah of Saudi Arabia, which was headed by Shaykh bin Baz at that time. And the last committee, there was around 5 committees who reviewed the whole commentary. But we were the last one, myself and Dr. Darsh, Sayyid Mutawalli ad-Darsh, the former Imam of Islamic Culture Center, Regent Park, London. So we went to Riyadh, we stayed there for 3 months, and we reviewed the whole commentary. And out of 6,000 footnotes, we have amended 600, about 10%. So after this amendment, this amended translation and commentary was printed by King Fahd Complex in Medina, and about 1 million copies were printed, and it was circulated at that time. But later there was some objection to some of the footnotes which were not amended yet, and people complained to Shaykh bin Baz, there are still some footnotes which need some amendments, so it should be stopped. So this is how the circulation of that amended translation was stopped. And they have introduced another translation which is known as the Noble Quran. We have many copies of the Noble Quran here. So now this is in circulation. That was Abdullah Yusuf Ali. Abdullah Yusuf Ali, and also another translator of Quran, Marmaduke Piksal, who established Anglo-Ottoman Society in 1914. Because in 1914, English were at war with Ottoman. But he was defending Ottoman, Marmaduke Piksal, here in this country. Both of them, they are buried in Brookwood. Brookwood Cemetery near Woking is the biggest cemetery in Europe. It has around 224,000 graves. And then there are sections for Muslims and sections for other factions as well. So this in this cemetery it got many big personalities. There is a Pakistani a person who gave the name of Pakistan, whose name is Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali was buried also in Brookwood. And this Brookwood cemetery was so famous that a train used to travel from Waterloo. There was a station only for that funeral train from Waterloo to Brookwood Cemetery, in which they got 2 stations, one in north and one in the south. So this train used to move 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it would come 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it means that those people who want to bury their dead, they could carry their coffin in this train, and they bring it to the Brookwood, they bury it, and then they go back with the same train. And it has 2 types of apartments, first class and ordinary class. So in the first class, the coffin were magnificent, and the tickets were more expensive. Anyhow, this is how it operated until the station was destroyed in the Second World War, and the station was closed. And now if you visit Brookwood, you will find only the platform in the station, but there are no railways at all. Another interesting person is Noor Inayat Khan. Now Inayat Khan is the grandson of a very, very famous Indian ruler, Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan the ruler of Mysore, who fought English. And he was the last person to be defeated by the English, and after his defeat, or after his killing, or martyrdom, the English said that now we have captured India, because he was a very great obstacle in their way. So he was a grandson of Tipu Sultan, Inayat Khan, who came in 1912 to England with his American wife. He started a Sufi way, or Sufi tariqa. In 1913,